This program is brought to you by
Jazz Bank, Nigeria's first full-fledged non-interest bank.
And welcome to another edition of the Ummah Tonight, where we are investigating and addressing pressing issues facing the Muslim world today. And this evening we will be speaking about Islamic finance, and not only Islamic finance, rather Sukuk. And what does that mean? I'm not quite sure. I'm not an expert in Islamic finance, so in order to explain it and explain to us the future of Islamic finance and Sukuk in particular after the Arab Spring and the future of Islamic finance in the Middle East and the world for that matter, we have two experts here. First, we'd like to welcome, for the first time on Ummah Tonight, an expert in Islamic financial services, the former CFO of Dubai Islamic Bank, Mr. Ahmed AlGebali, and he has a very, very long and prestigious resume, which he will be sharing with us as we continue in this program. Also, Mr. Hossam Sayyid, Executive former VP of Ahmed Investment Bank, based in Kuwait, also very well known in the world of Islamic finance, and they will be telling us a lot of their accomplishments and what in the history of Islamic finance and where we go from here after the Arab Spring. Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to both of you brothers. Thank you so much. I certainly look forward to a very interesting conversation this evening. But first of all, before we get into the details, perhaps you guys both can really explain to myself and the viewers, what does Sukuk really mean, and make it clear for the viewers, what is Sukuk? Perhaps they don't know.
Okay, let's start from the numbers and the characteristics of the Islamic finance and the size of the Islamic finance in the world today. As per the reports has been issued by a research houses called KFH Research, which is based in Malaysia, which is owned by Kuwait Finance House in Kuwait. The industry size today almost $1.6 trillion as a size of Islamic finance.
Hey, that's a small number though, isn't it, Mr. Ahmed?
It's very small comparing to the real economy, which is equal to 66 trillion, which is, we call it real economy.
Okay.
But the total trading economy in the world today is 600 trillion. So it's very small.
Right.
1.6 trillion US dollar, a size of the Islamic finance globally today, is equal to almost 1.5% of the total assets of the largest 50 banks in the world.
Okay. Right.
So we are somewhere, but we are not yet
where we need to be.
Yes, where we should be. But the most important, which is I have to share also here, that over the last 40 years, the most effective industry and the highest growth rate in any industry across the whole world, it's only in this industry. So the compounded, the CAD, the compounded annual growth rate in the Islamic finance itself, it's between 20 to 25% annually, okay, which has never been in any other industry.
MashaAllah, okay.
So we started with zero.
Right.
But now we are talking about 1.6 trillion and expected by 2018 to reach the $4 trillion.
Okay.
So this is the size. 1.3 out of 1.6, it's only in the Islamic banks, which is almost spread over more than 70 countries across the world, more than 300 institutions working okay, as and acting as financial institution or Islamic financial institution or Islamic bank.
Okay, excellent.
So this is in total as a brief about the Islamic finance and where we are. Okay. So we are nowhere
now,
but if we are comparing ourselves as Egypt and what's our market share in this industry, so also still we are nowhere in Egypt as Egypt. We have no more than 1.3 market share out of the 1.6 trillion.
Okay.
So out of this 1.6 trillion, we have almost more than 250 trillion towards Sukuk as an instrument, Islamic instruments, as used as alternative of the bonds,
okay,
conventional bonds.
Right.
And this is towards, you know, the real development in any economy.
Real development.
Yes, because Sukuk, it's should be linked to the return and the profit and the cash flow of a real project.
Okay, tangible items.
Tangible items.
Right.
So without that, there is no sukuk.
And this is why we experienced a fiscal cliff and financial crisis, because the economy was built on a facade, wasn't it? With nothing tangible.
Yes.
Yeah, loans and this sort of thing.
And this is what happened in Greece. And Mr. Hussam will discuss this.
And this is a very wonderful subject for me, as my father is from Greece. Mr. Hussam, before we speak about Greece, however, would you like to add a little bit to what Mr. Ahmed said about defining Sukuk for the viewers? And perhaps you can compare between a regular bond and a Sukuk, and what is the difference?
Well, Sukuk, you can say it's the substitute of the conventional bond. One of the main differences between Sukuk and the conventional bond will be Sukuk is a very low risk financing tool. The bond, you will always find it. It's not only a high risk, but you will find also the default ratio over there. It's very high than the Sukuk.
It's almost like gambling. Or is that a bad analogy?
It's in a very wide risk industry. You are taking the risk of the whole economy instead of taking the risk over specific assets.
Okay.
So if you are talking about the default ratio, which is Mr. Hussam was mentioning here, the default ratio in the Sukuk for the last 10 years is 1.1% only, which is the lowest, default rate in any financial instruments across the whole financial system, across the whole globe.
SubhanAllah. And I would like to, so we have prepared a small presentation on the subject. I would like to play it now and take your thoughts and comments. And after we do that, I want you to share with the viewers a little bit of yourselves and what you have been doing in this field for the last 10 and 20 years. Because now Islamic finance has kind of been the platform in the media, and people want to know what has been going on in the world of Islamic finance for the last 10, 15 years. Perhaps you can share some of those personal achievements with the viewers. Let's check out that presentation now, inshallah, and perhaps we can get your comments on that when they play that, inshallah. When they get that ready, we'll play that. Mr. Hussam and Mr. Ahmed, please tell us about the world of Islamic finance, what you have been doing. Here's the presentation now. We can see the presentation now being displayed on the screen about Islamic finance. There, sharing information with the viewers there. It says here, in a basic Sukuk structure, there are 3 parties involved: the originator and the special purpose vehicle. Are these terms familiar with you? You can
Yes,
Okay,
sure.
Perhaps who is the originator and who is a special purpose vehicle?
The originator will be the main issuer of the Sukuk
itself.
Exactly. Which he will be creating the SPV, which is the special purpose vehicle. Which he will be disposing or keeping his assets over there. Then he will securitize these assets to the Sukuk. That's the reason we say that always Sukuk will be backed up by an asset.
This is the difference of the bond. It's backed. The Sukuk is backed up.
Exactly. And it will be always limited to the assets lying down over there at the SPV. And again, you don't maintain the assets over there, but you get back the asset after the definite period specified at the Sukuk terms. So the whole hassles of the media scene over there that you are going to dispose the assets of Egypt and all these things.
Which is not there.
It's not there. Even at the Egyptian Sukuk law right now, it's not there. It's clearly mentioned over there. It's for a definite period. Then,
go ahead.
if you can get back to the presentation, you'll find that when you keep the Sukuk at the, the originator, for example, over there will be keeping his assets at the SPV, which will be around 700 million, which the investors will be participating with the same amount, but they will be returning back the amount to the investors with the 800 million, They will get their cash back from the returns and the profits of the assets itself, and the originator, the country who's issuing this, they will be maintaining the assets which you have financed at the beginning. So you will be starting a project to build an asset. You will finance it you have investors, which they will be participating in this sukuk. They will get their invested capital plus returns. Then at the end, the assets itself will be utilized and used for life by the owner, which is the country in
which
place.
is the
which
originator.
The originator, yeah,
Yes.
the country.
Exactly.
Right. Excellent. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Hossam. Mr. Ahmed, you had told me before the program you have worked throughout the Gulf, established institutions. It seems like the Islamic financial institutions are more developed in the Gulf region, and you have played an important role in that. Perhaps
Yes.
you can talk about that briefly.
Yes. With all my experience in the Gulf area and all the institutions, bank, I participate or I shared or I lead to establish in this region, and also in UK, which is BLME, Bank of London and Middle East as Islamic Wholesale Bank. The good part of the story here, or the good part of the story in such countries, that they have regulations.
Okay.
They have something in ground that you can work on.
Right.
So they are very active, very organized. They have very strong system, monitoring system, commercial laws, which is allow you to design the business model which is can suit such economy and to benefit out of the scale of economy itself.
Right. Okay.
This is the magic or key
The key.
of any industry, that
Right.
when you have the base, when you have the regulations, when you have the environment which is can help you to adapt and to work and to grow in such in any industry, so it will be a great area. We miss this, unfortunately, in a country like Egypt. Because of that, we don't have a real market share in such an industry till today.
But Mr. Akram and Mr. Hossam, I did see in the news recently there was big news in Egypt where there was laws being drafted and passed in the lower parliament of the Egyptian legislative body. Were you involved in that process, and what did they achieve, and why now? Why not earlier? Go ahead, both of you.
Yani,
This actually, Dr. Ahmed, will be the main participator in this at the parliament. Yes.
Let me to start from the story from a small angle, which is, and then I will reach your questions, because it's a very nice questions. I like it, I enjoy it, and I wish that who's ever gonna to listen to what I'm saying to understand the facts exactly, and we will say it, and we need the sawab from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for what we are doing. I decided, I was for the last 3 years was Dubai Islamic Bank, as I mentioned, as a group CFO and head of strategic planning. It's a big organization, and while I was watching the TV during the last 2 years, watching what happened, the revolution happened in Egypt, and the economic positions of Egypt and what's happening. So I was asking myself, what's the time that really we have to participate and to develop our country and to do something?
Yeah.
So I decided to move back to Egypt. I'm here for the last 2 months, and I was it's an honor to be part of the Sukuk law and what's happening there now. I participated with the parliament last week for the 4 days sessions discussing the law, and I came with a lot of contributions. And he was listening, and it was for me it was something like a surprise that people, they are listening, they are evaluate what we are saying, and they added one clause to the law which is I recommended, and they changed almost 3 also clauses that I recommended to change and to enhance or whatever, to avoid many things in the industry based on our experience in this industry.
Right, right.
But coming back to your questions about the value of this.
Right.
Sukuk, as I mentioned at the beginning, it's a tool, it's a financial tools to develop economies everywhere. It's very, very an excellent finance tools. And with the numbers that I'm saying, it's when I talk about a default rate of 1.1% over the last 10 years. So, and 85% of the defaulted 1.1 is Sukuk Murabha, which is almost similar to a Sukuk debt.
Okay.
Or whatever they call it, the whatever, the bonds or whatever, which is only related to that, because the assets has been sold, you know, the spot and deferred concept, which is I buy spot, I sell deferred, so I create, I start to do something called debt.
Right.
So when the sukuk is linked to a real assets, so there is no real default. And even if there is no cash flow to cover this, so we can restructure on a real assets. There is something we can restructure. So it's a real economy. It's attached to a real economy or a real assets. This is something which is, we have to think about it. You know, let me tell you the story of Malaysia and how they started.
Yes, because now they're a financial hub, aren't they?
Yes.
For Islamic finance.
Today, if you say that they see the map of the sukuk in the world, who's leading the sukuk issues in the world and how they started. In 2002, Malaysia couldn't issue a sukuk. So they have to have the support from other country like Japan, like other country in the region there, to support as a government, to support them to issue sukuk in dollars. Today, if you want to issue sukuk from Malaysia, you have to issue it in ringgit, Malaysian ringgit.
Okay.
And if you see all the examples now, what's the market share of Malaysia today? Last year, a total issuance of sukuk was equal to $131 billion. 70% of this sukuk has been issued from Malaysia.
Subhanallah.
70%. 0% from Egypt.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
That's terrible.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why we have to make a brighter future.
Yes.
In
Yeah,
So
you
the
don't
second biggest or largest, it was Saudi Arabia.
Yep.
Okay.
Like 14%, 15%.
Yeah,
So
subhanallah. And thank you for sharing that. So you achieved in this, the Parliament of Egypt achieved putting to practice some regulations.
yes, there is now a final draft for a sukuk law, ready now. Today has been discussed on the Parliament.
Exactly.
To be approved as initial approval, and then they will go through the 28 clauses, which is the body of the law. But it's a state of art. This is what I want to confirm. It's a state of art. It's treat everything and move anything, any problems that people was thinking about it, which is sell the canal space or sell the pyramids or lease the pyramids or sell the River Nile. This is something never been there.
Yes.
And it's something like a state of art, and it will add value and it will add assets to the government. Against what happened in the last 30 years. In the last 30 years, the government of Egypt will sell our assets to foreign investors or local investors for commissions or for whatever, just to make the Egyptian economy very weak. Today, sukuk, after the tenor, as Mr. Hussam mentioned, after the tenor of the sukuk, the assets which has been developed from scratch will be given back to the government or to the private sector, which is being the originator of the sukuk itself. So there is a big difference. Why this has not happened before and for the last 30 years not being adopted?
Yes.
This is the question, which is
yes.
Because if you see what you call it, the central economy, which is the economy, the government should lead everywhere, which is the negative side of the capitalism.
Right.
And I have to do everything. I have to lead the economy as I believe.
Right.
There is no sharing between government and private sector. This will lead definitely to something, a collapse like what happened. Okay.
Yeah, excellent.
So this is something which is, again, why not happened? Because they don't believe in the word of Islam.
Right.
They are controlling, they are running the policy and the political issues, but they don't have a belief inside. Maybe they are a prayer, maybe they say Qala Allah, Qala Rasul, but at the end, they don't believe. And I meet with many people during that time, and I've been approached to be in the Central Bank of Egypt in 2006. I've been approached to join the executive management of Bank Masr in 2008. I've been approached to be in Bank Cairo, the bank in 2010. But always I was looking for what I'm going to do. What's the add value I will do? I'm a specialist in Islamic finance. Why we are not adapting these tools here?
Yeah.
Why we are not taking our lead, our market share?
Right.
But there was no real answer. But the word was, I always say that the government doesn't want to say to hear the word Islam.
Yeah, so
That's
Islamophobia has been a major obstacle to Islamic finance
It
here.
was, yes.
Yeah, and now, inshallah, we hope with the Arab Spring that will change.
Now it will be.
Yes.
Inshallah, that's what we're hoping
Inshallah.
for. Yes. Mr. Hossam, I would
Yeah.
like to ask you about Sukuk in two examples, if you could compare and contrast. In rebuilding the economy of Greece, in Sukuk as it is in the KSA. Perhaps first we can speak about about Greece. It's where my father is from. Recently, we saw public utility companies, government-owned facilities, even the military airport in Athens, up for sale. The port of Athens up for sale. Everything's up for sale. People are scared that they've experienced a debt crisis. Can Sukuk play a role in Greece in rebuilding the Greek economy? And after that, if we can change our focus to the KSA and speak about the economic situation in the KSA. But go ahead, Mr. Hossam.
Yes. First, let me just make a slight comment on what Dr. Ahmed was saying a few minutes back. Mainly, whoever is applying the Islamic finance, some of them is not able to understand that Islam is a very comprehensive. It's not related only to religion or how to pray or how to go to the mosque or how to enter your house. It's all the angle of your life, okay? Which one of them is economy. So you have to understand that the solution for everything is already over there. One of the things that was making us a little bit surprised why we are considered outside Egypt as consultants in this field, okay? And we cannot apply this back home. I mean, it was a little bit strange.
We are leading the industry everywhere.
Everywhere outside of Egypt.
Yes,
exactly.
Egyptian and a lot of Dr. Hussein Hamid, Hassan, and a lot of people, Egyptians, they are leading the industry everywhere.
Outside.
Outside, never been in Egypt.
But now it looks like you guys are returning.
Yes, we are here for the real economy revolutions. We want to be part of this. This is our liability towards our country. This is our obligation toward our country that we started here, because if the Islamic finance started here, it will make a big difference.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
it will be different than Malaysia. It will be different than anybody else.
Yes,
we are a big country. We are the third largest economy in the Arab world today. In our bad position.
Yeah, subhanAllah. We put that in perspective. That's an excellent point. Mr. Hassan,
getting
back to Greece.
to
The Sukuk in Greece, can it play a role?
Yeah, sure. This is one of the major differences that we have highlighted a few minutes back about the differences between bonds and Sukuk. When we mentioned bonds and Sukuk, we were saying that one of the things that you limit your risk to the assets in place at Sukuk case. When you speak about the bond, in such situation like Greece, you are attached to the country economy itself, okay? So simply what happened over there, they issued the bonds, the European Union has participated, they covered the bond, they lend Greece government the money, then Standard & Poor's and some of the rating agencies over there, simply they went and say,
IMF, they participated. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Okay, as well as the IMF as well. They went over there and say, okay, fine. The economy is very bad. The bonds that you have over there, they call it junk bond. Okay.
Okay.
So it has no value.
No more values.
Oh my goodness.
Exactly. So what to do to get out of this, and how we can get back this money to the
bailouts?
Yes. So simply they have forced the government over there to follow some certain steps, which
For
one of the major thing.
Economic
Okay,
recovery.
yeah, one of the major thing over there is privatizing all the government institutions for
Which
the
is
worth.
Opposite Sukuk. Sukuk adding value to the government.
Right.
Exactly.
It's the opposite, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's devaluing the
Yes,
country.
yes.
Yeah. So people had this fear of Egypt. They said this could lead to...
No, but this is the opposite side. This is
Right.
not a bond. This is Sukuk. Sukuk will add assets because
Not take away assets.
Yes,
Exactly.
because Sukuk will work on developing a new assets which does not exist.
Right.
The law, the Sukuk law of Egypt, will not ever allow to issue a Sukuk for an existing assets
Okay.
for any reasons. It's not. It's there.
Right.
It's written. It's
Right.
clear.
And this was the purpose
No
of these laws.
Sukuk for any existing assets in Egypt.
Okay.
For any purpose. It should be for a new projects, a new development.
mentioned.
Yeah, and this is clearly mentioned in order to put those critics.
It's there.
To
Yes,
stop
and for a certain time.
Right.
It's not an ownership for definite, for life.
Right.
It's a ownership, and not only for management, it's ownership. The originator who's going to be the responsible for the management.
As well.
Because if you say the Rabb al-Mal and Mudarib, if the Rabb al-Mal participate in the Mudarba, in the management, means no Mudarba. Zero. It will not be exist.
Right.
It will be like something like to breach the Mudarba contract.
Okay.
So they will own, but they have no control
over it.
Over this, because it will be managed by the originator. At the end of the tenure of the Sukuk, it will be back to the originator, because they have to return back the Sukuk and to take their money over the time, because it will be amortized over the time as a principal, plus their profit and share of profit of such projects.
SubhanAllah. Yeah. Excellent points. Thank you so much, Dr. Ahmed.
So, yeah.
Go ahead, Mr.
Yeah, one of the major things over there as well, that they force them for government reforms. One of them is to lay out, employees over there.
Yeah.
People sitting outside and asking me to make the reform inside my house.
Yeah, right. This is a big problem. This has led to protest. And
you cannot do anything because bonds is attached to
the whole economy.
Right.
It's not a specific asset. It's not with a specific value. And you don't rate it by yourself because there is no value attached to an asset. You are speaking about the economy all itself. So such incident which is happening in the last few days, for example, in Egypt, in the case of bonds, can make the rating goes diving like anything in the market.
Like the treasury bill today.
Exactly, like treasury bills. When you have any financial crisis, you will find it suffering like anything. On the other hand, Sukuk doesn't have any relationship with such a thing.
Right, okay.
Yes, it will impact you on the, how you can say,
the country risk or whatever,
yes,
but not
on the trade and volume, on a few things like that, but not on the value